Hi everybody, my name's, don't worry about that. Uh, Today's video is about Uber. I'm going to go over four things. California's Proposition 22, that's the ballot measure about Uber. I'm going to go over why I'm qualified to talk about it. I'm going to go over the pros, the cons. I'm going to go ahead and mention how we need to go about taking care of this. So let's get into it. California's measure, Proposition 22, is the proposition for the app-based drivers and how they should get paid. If you vote yes, that means you're saying that they should remain independent contractors. If you vote no, that you're saying you want AB 5, Assembly Bill 5, to remain in effect and that they're going to be considered employees going forward. There's some pros to voting against the proposition. There's some pros for voting for the proposition. There's going to be a lot of changes that go into what's going to happen. For example, drivers are going to get some pay increase. The work hours are going to be regulated. The requirement that the apps provide employees with health insurance is going to change. Let's see what else. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a fairly simple thing, either to classify drivers as independent contractors or to keep them as employees. We need to make sure that drivers are independent contractors. Imagine, okay, who am I? Why am I qualified to talk about this? I drove for Uber. It was fine. I made it work. It was fantastic, actually. I did it as much as I needed to, and then I stopped when I need to stop. And currently, full disclosure, I do own Uber stock. Outside of me owning Uber stock, even if I didn't own Uber stock, I would still vote this way. I live in Los Angeles, California, by the way. Hey people, Los Angeles. Okay. So, as a driver, if you told me I had to be employed by Uber, I would say no way. I already don't want to go through the process of submitting an application to become a driver. To go through an even more comprehensive application process, they do even more to become a driver? No. And then on top of that, you're going to tell me that the money that I'm earning has to go to federal taxes, has to go to state taxes, has to go to the Medicare fund, has to go to disability, unemployment, whatever. You're going to go ahead and take care of that for me. I no longer get to independently choose how I'm going to fund these endeavors that the state is going to go ahead and want to impose. No. I have a job. This is my side gig. I'm only doing this part-time, and I don't want the state to be involved with any of this. Leave us alone. To get down to the brass tacks, Proposition 22, the unions want to get in there and unionize the drivers, and that's not good. Because you're paying a fee on every ride that says, okay, it's for safety, for background checks. That fee is going to grow. It's no longer going to be a $6 trip, a $7 trip. It's going to start at a minimum of 10. If you've noticed, since Lyft's gone, and the whole situation we have in the world right now, it's a lot of long hold times to get a customer. And then even when you request a ride, it takes a while for you to get that. So if you make the process even harder, it's not going to work out. Let's take a much larger scope view of what we're talking about here. So what Uber does, it A, finds a driver, it B, convinces the driver to perform the required task, and C, pays the driver enough for the driver to continue doing what the driver is supposed to do. Okay, and then on the other side, it finds a customer, it guarantees the customer a certain minimum, safety, whatever, and then it also provides a price that's very affordable. In all of this, Uber charges about 25-30% fee from the customer to the driver. There's a 25-30% missing. So that's not a lot of money for them to do everything that they're doing already. If you're going to stack more junk in there, make the barrier to entry to become a driver harder, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to deal with that. And then also, if you're going to charge me more as a customer and I'm not going to get better service, I'm just paying into some health fund, to pay into some government fees and taxes. Well, I don't want to do that either. Uber is operating in the most efficient way possible. If a driver is there, they figured out how to make it work, they're making it work, and as soon as they don't think it's worth their time doing anymore, they're going to stop. The government does not need to have a hand in this at all. Now, I keep saying government, government, government. What do I really mean? California is a giant union state. The unions are the only ones pushing for this. The unions push for AB 5. If we pass this thing, it's bad for California. It's bad for the drivers. If a driver is getting paid, hypothetically, 80 cents a mile, and then hypothetically 20 cents a minute, Uber has to change that from 80 cents a mile to $1.10 a mile, and then from 20 cents a minute to, I don't know, 45 cents a minute, just to cover its new expenses. Because, oh, now I'm required to provide health insurance. I, as a driver, already have a full-time job. I already have health insurance. I don't need it from you. I don't want to deal with those paperworks. I don't want to be engaged in figuring any of that out. I barely want to provide you my car registration and my driver's license. I mean, I understand why I have to, because that's significant, important for the safety of everybody involved. Yes, I agree to that. I understand why I'm doing a background check, yes. But now you're going to make me deal with healthcare decisions? You're going to make me deal with, what, a 401k through Uber? No. You got to let me be. I don't want to be a driver that needs to deal with extra nonsense. Okay? Every dollar I make from that 80 cents a mile, I know I can deduct a large chunk of that as a write-off because the government says I can write it off. For a lot of other things, like my cell phone bill, like for car washes, like for, I don't know if car washes count, but let's say seat covers, shoes, glasses, whatever, even my health insurance. If I buy that, all of those are deductible in the taxes. It's to my benefit to deduct that. I pay even less taxes. The issue here isn't whether a driver can afford these things or not. If a driver wanted to, they could. It's absolutely not an issue. The issue is, now that there's going to be a union involved, they're going to mandate and manage some of this nonsense, and they're going to make the barrier to entry harder. You're going to get much worse service because the driver knows now that even if you do a thumbs down, even if you say 1 star, whatever you want to call it, they're not going to get that driver fired. Have you been to the DMV? They've got unions. Has there been any situations when there's a cop and you weren't sure if that was the best outcome that happened in that situation? Well, they're union too. Have you ever been to the welfare office? Well, that's union too. Have you ever been, I don't know, to a school where the education was shitty and the teachers have tenure? And that's union too. It's hard to get better qualified people. It's hard to get turnover. And you get stale people that aren't willing to provide the service as required, that aren't willing to perform the tasks that are necessary because they're too comfortable and they know they're not going to lose their position or anything. So it's not a positive outcome for whoever's using the service. I'm looking at it. I really hope that this Proposition 22 passes and that drivers get to remain free and independent. If Uber finds it cannot find drivers, guess what? That pay will go up. If passengers find that the quality of drivers that they're receiving suck, Uber starts losing customers, well, they'll raise their price that they're willing to pay the drivers, and they'll increase the requirements that are required. It's an efficient system. It doesn't have nonsense mixed in that makes the decisions more complicated than necessary. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm independent. But this law is of course being supported by quite a few Democrats. And let's see, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Anthony Rendon, Joe Biden. That's fine. It seems like they're all Democrats. I'm not. It shouldn't pass. As a driver, I would never want to drive. I wouldn't submit an application if it asked me a question, a single question beyond the very bare minimum requirements. And I'm pretty sure as a customer, I wouldn't want to pay a penny more because I'm paying somebody else's health insurance when they might already have it from another job. They don't need double coverage. I mean, how good can the health insurance from Uber be anyway? It's probably going to be something super shitty to begin with. So why impose it? If you don't make enough money doing Uber, you could apply and get Medi-Cal. I live in California, that's Medi-Cal. Medicaid, okay? So we shouldn't approve this law because it's going to be a union push. Unions are losing their powers. They need to continue losing their power. It's not okay for unions to keep pushing and trying to grow when really the services that they're providing are inefficient and aren't fair. If you work at, let's say, Little Caesars, right? You're an employee, right? Okay. If you don't like the job, you still quit. You leave. That's not a union position. A union would say, okay, well, let's see why you quit and why you left. Was this a fair decision? Was this okay? Was this appropriate? No, just let it be. You're an independent contractor and you left. No questions, no comments, no concerns. We can't make this more complicated than it needs to be. It needs to be simple. I shouldn't tell you how to vote, but I'm really hoping you vote yes on 22. Get rid of AB 5. A vote yes means you're voting against AB 5. Drivers remain independent. The companies that are supporting this bill have promised to increase drivers' pay and provide drivers' benefits outside of this law. This needs to stand. Other states shouldn't try to make drivers union members or anything. It's not fair to anybody. I'm gonna keep this right under 15 minutes. Please like, subscribe, comment. Goodbye.